This is Dr. Andrew Jones. In this edition of Veterinary Secrets, I'm going to show you the 7 benefits of giving Dandelion to your dogs and cats. In today's video, I'm specifically discussing Dandelion. I'm just going to grab the plant, show you what it is. So here it is here. I actually just went into my garden and just dug it up. We have it all over, fortunately or unfortunately, all over our yard in different parts. Obviously we're choosing not to spray, and growing happily throughout the garden. So this is what you guys are all going to be aware of Dandelion. There's the yellow flower. Here are the leaves, the Dandelion leaves, and along here there's just freshly out of the ground. There's still dirt on it, but there's the root. So I'm just going to show you the 2 or 3 the more common forms that you would be giving Dandelion to your dogs or cats, and then give you a sense of doses and how you'd be doing it. And then we're going to go into the 7 specific things I think you should be aware of. First of all, you can get it as a tincture. So a couple different tinctures that I have here. This one here is a Dandelion tincture that is a glycerin base, so it's a non-alcohol base. Much better to be giving, especially if you're trying to dose a cat with a tincture. For our dogs, you can also just get the often less expensive, easier to get the alcohol-based tinctures. Majority of the Dandelion tinctures that I've seen can be a combination of the roots and or the leaves, and they do different things. So it's important to know what you would be treating your dog or cat for in terms of what part of the dandelion should actually be within that tincture. Generally, when I'm looking at a tincture dose, I'm looking at about, and I'll show you here so you can get a sense. So each dropper full is pretty standard, and they'll have a 1 ml marked on it. And I'm generally looking at about 1/4 of a ml per 10 pounds of body weight twice daily. That's a pretty standard amount. So, when I was looking at something like my dog, Jesse, who was a 40-pound dog, he would be getting up to 1 ml twice a day, and I'll just show you what that is so you get a sense. Sometimes even start him at a smaller dose, but that's a pretty typical standard dose. So as you can see there on the tincture, I think you guys can see it, there's the ml mark, it's just under the ml. Dandelion can come in the dried form, so it's something you can make yourself. You can be picking the dandelions, as I did there. You can be drying the leaves and or parts of the root. And more often though, you're going to be going to a natural health store and getting it. So here I have this is the dried root. So the root is much more concentrated and generally more stronger in comparison to the leaves. So generally you're looking at differing doses. But typically if you're looking at adding something like the dried leaves in terms of a supplement, when I'm thinking about that would be to treat, we want to increase diuresis. We're using it as a diuretic. We're taking fluid out of your dog or your cat for different reasons, be it underlying heart disease, potentially they've got recurring urinary tract infections. In that case, if you're looking at the dried leaves, you're looking at about a teaspoon per 10 pounds of body weight daily. So dosed or pat accordingly. If we're looking at the roots, we're looking at about 1/4 of that, so about 1/4 of a teaspoon. Another option is to go ahead and actually make the tea. And I actually have some here to show you. I'm actually drinking the dandelion root tea. I actually quite like it. There's a number of we're going to go into the specifics of dandelion. One, there's a whole number of impressive studies showing how beneficial it can be for potentially preventing, but specifically treating cancer, along with a number of different medicinal benefits. But this is here's an organic roasted dandelion root tea. It tastes pretty good. It's a little bit of an acquired taste. You can feel it's something stronger. But if you were to use that medicinally to be treating your dogs or cats, you just want to go ahead and brew up about 1 cup of this strong tea, which I don't know, I think you guys can just see it there as I bend out of the picture. Let it cool. And a pretty standard dose I'm looking at is about 1 teaspoon of that cooled tea per 10 pounds of body weight twice daily. So the first big benefit of Dandelion, it's a very nutrient-dense, antioxidant-containing plant that is great for boosting and supporting your pet's immune system, as well as dealing with inflammation, be it things such as inflammatory skin disease, perhaps arthritis. Regardless, there's a number of specific nutrients within dandelions, including vitamin A, B, C, D, a variety of minerals, including calcium, phosphorus, magnesium, zinc. Dandelion has more protein. We're looking at these leaves. There's more protein in dandelion than there is even in spinach. Very rich in potassium, which is a huge thing. One of those key nutrients we're often low in, and one which I'll discuss later in terms of using dandelion as a diuretic. Often in diuresis, when you're using a diuretic, you'll lose potassium, but dandelion contains potassium to actually sort of replace the potassium that you lose. So, but more specifically, you've got all these key nutrients. It's got essential fatty acids within dandelion, these specific plant nutrients that are key to boosting and supporting our pet's immune system, as well as dealing with the effects of inflammation in terms of neutralizing those free radicals with those specific antioxidants. 2, dandelion can help promote digestion. There was a study in a 2011 Journal of Gastroenterology which showed that patients that were given dandelion showed a 37% increase in stomach motility. So what it was doing is the dandelion was actually, 1, increasing the contraction of the stomach, 2, relaxing this thing called the sphincter. That's a little muscle at the end of the stomach where it goes into the small intestine. And in many cases, that's one of the conventional medications that you would be taking as a client. If you were to go in and we've got your dog that's vomiting and we're trying to stop them from vomiting, we're give them, there's a drug called metoclopramide or Reglan, which actually causes the stomach to contract normally going backwards. Secondarily, we might give them medication to relax that sphincter. There's a natural way to do it. Using dandelion as opposed to some of the conventional medications. The third big specific medicinal benefit of dandelion is its benefit as a diuretic. So this can be being useful for heart disease, for kidney disease, urinary tract infections. So in heart disease, your dog or your cat can have excess fluid, for instance, in the main airways of their lungs. And then typically we're prescribing a medication called Lasix or furosemide to take away some of that fluid and have them cough less. The specific part of dandelion that's a diuretic is the leaves. So if you're going to be giving the tincture, you need to be making sure that it's made from the leaves, primarily, not the roots. But it's shown to be effective. Likewise, these dogs and cats that are having recurring urinary tract infections. In some cases, they're just their cats with FLUTD, lower urinary tract disease. Just the act of getting more fluid flushing into that bladder is often enough just to deal and treat with that recurring UTI. 4, diabetes. Dandelion may be beneficial for our pets that are diabetic. There's a 2001 study which showed that animals given dandelion-containing extract that were diabetic were able to have lower blood sugar levels. This is yet to be repeated as far as study-wise, but it's promising and interesting to note that there's a pretty simple herb out there that may be helpful for our dogs and cats that are diabetic. Another thing I wanted to add on, in addition to being beneficial for diabetes, there's another study I read which actually was showing how dandelion could be protective against pancreatitis. And knowing that the insulin is coming from the pancreas in the first place, so there may be something else going on there where the dandelion is not only potentially helping lower blood sugar levels, potentially it's also maybe making that pancreas more effective to be able to then produce insulin. Number 5, the liver protective benefits of dandelion. This is something which has been known for years, and it's one of the traditional reasons why dandelion root has been used, specifically for its liver protective and beneficial effects. The more recent, there was just a 2012 study which specifically showed where in one case they actually were shown that animals that were given dandelion root as an extract were actually able to avoid enzyme-induced liver damage from an anti-inflammatory or from a drug, Tylenol or acetaminophen. So, no question, if you've got a dog or cat with especially specific liver disease, that's another herb, and you're looking at sort of some herbal options. Dandelion will be a big key one. My sixth point is one which we don't typically think of treating our pets, but one which I saw in practice, and we have some pretty strong medications for. It's high blood pressure. So the specific benefits of dandelion in that case are from its diuretic effects. So once again, you need to be using an extract or using the leaves themselves. That's the diuretic portion of the dandelion. And the benefits come from the thought is that, being its diuretic, we're getting rid of some of that excess fluid, making, for instance, allowing then the heart to be more effective, not have to have such a high blood pressure. Last but not least, and it's something I've discussed in one of my previous YouTube videos, is the beneficial effects of dandelion as a treatment for cancer. There's a university in Canada called the University of Windsor that actually has currently a long ongoing research program called the Dandelion Root Project. So specifically, they're studying dandelion root, and that's what I'm drinking in the tea right here. And they're studying it for a couple different types of leukemia, for pancreatic cancer, which is very difficult to treat, along with colon cancer in people. And they're actually seeing positive results by the use of, they're actually concentrating part of what's in the dandelion root. So they're concentrating certain components of that dandelion root in a really concentrated form of an extract. And they're seeing positive benefits and results for treating patients that have these more serious end-stage types of cancers. And they're seeing it proving to be effective. So hopefully within the near future, we're going to start to see more of that, and more of these herbs and more of these plants that we know have so many wonderful qualities be expanded and hopefully for use in animals as well. No question, if I had an animal that was diagnosed with cancer, that's one of the first things I would be giving him. He would be getting concentrated dandelion root as one of the herbal treatments. So if you guys are to take anything out of this video, hopefully you get a better sense of the real big benefits of dandelion, a weed that we've so completely ignored, and all these huge potential benefits, which are huge. If your dog or cat has some of those underlying diseases, it's something I think you should consider. For yourself, if you're going to take anything out of it, go and get yourself some dandelion root tea. Thank you for watching this edition of Veterinary Secrets of why you should be giving dandelion to your pets. What I want you to do now is first click that link in the box above. That can subscribe to my channel. Then you can go ahead, click that link in the box below, and I can send you my free books and videos on how to heal your pets at home with my top natural remedies.